Okay, this section we're going to talk about access to the Customer Master. Okay, so if you're already comfortable with how to find the Customer Master, what are the different views that are available, go ahead and you can skip this section, or if you want to review, that's great too. Go ahead and walk through this. We're going to do a quick run through on how you get to the Customer Master using the menus in SAP. We're going to talk about transactional access through the command box, and we're going to talk about the different types, complete view, sales view, accounting view only. This is really a prerequisite for going in and being comfortable in navigating and accessing the Customer Master. So you want to run through this section. It's pretty quick, and you'll feel pretty confident then about how to go about navigating or getting to the Customer Master after going through this. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing we'll do is bring up our log on here. We're going to access SAP ECC through the GUI. There are other ways to access, but we'll go ahead and go the traditional route and log right in. Okay, from the start screen, let's first talk about menu access. And our menu over here on the left, if you're not familiar with it, we can go ahead and drop on down here to Logistics is where we're going to find the Customer Master primarily. And let's go in and take a look at Logistics, Sales and Distribution. And then within that, we want to look at Master Data, because the Customer Master is a master data component of the order to cash process. That's where we're going to find most of it. And within that, you're going to see business partners, okay? A customer is a type of business partner that we'll work with in the order to cash process. And down within that, you're going to see all these different types of business partners. The one we want to focus on here is customer. These down here and up above are other related types of business partners to customers, but we want to focus here on customer. Okay, and within customer, you have create, change, display, and display changes. Okay, so this is where we'll find our access for each one of these. We can go in and look at creating a customer, changing, displaying, and by going into each one of these, you get familiar with them. So if we click on here on complete, we'll see that's going to bring up our customer create. Okay, so we can enter an account group. Don't worry about this. We'll come back and explain this in detail later. We can enter or find a customer account number and then our company code. So if we have a customer that we're using that has financial transactions, we're posting a billing document, an invoice, we'll want a company code representation here. And then our sales area, okay, sales organization, distribution channel, and division. So each of our customers could be in one company code or many, and it could be in one sales organization and one sales area or many. So for instance, let's say we have companies across many countries, then we'll most likely have multiple company codes. And if it's a global customer, then it would be in multiple company codes. Same thing on the sales area. So if we're operating within different business units, different countries, we might have different sales organizations or different sales areas. One customer might be in multiple of those. Now, if you're just a one company code, one sales area shop, then you're just going to have one of these. And that's all we need to get started. Okay, so remember, this is our complete view. We accessed it here, okay, through the customer create. Now let's compare that to the sales and distribution view. Okay, basically looks the same. What's one thing you notice it's different? We're not seeing the company code, okay? That allows us only to view the sales area data, and this is a great way to access it if you're not concerned about the financial part. Maybe you don't have access to the financial part. That's another thing too. If we want to block, say, customer support or certain users from seeing any of that financial data that we store on a customer, they would access only that view. Okay. Now change, we have the same thing, complete, or just the sales and distribution views. Let's go look at complete. So one thing you'll notice there on change is we don't have the account group because it's already created. You create a customer within one account group. We'll talk about this in detail later. That's just some hints on it for now. But that would access change from the menu, okay? And same thing if we've created a customer in multiple company codes, multiple sales areas, then you would supply that information, okay, before going in and viewing. It could have different information in each one of those organizational units. So we'll cancel back out of here. And then we've got display. Very much the same thing as change, virtually identical. What you're going to see here in display when we go in, and we'll look at these detailed walkthroughs later. This is just access. This is going to show you it in display mode only. So possibly you don't have access to change or create, but you may have access to display, okay? So this is our primary area that we're going to work within here. I want to show you a couple other places to access menu-wise. So if I close up our sales and distribution menu path here, you'll find the Customer Master accessed in other order-to-cash processes, right? One of them would be logistics execution, which is deliveries, shipping, all that kind of information. We're going to have a customer access here to under partner, customer, and much the same as what we saw before, create, change, display, except here they call it just a little bit different. Sales and distribution, which brings us back to that same area, no company code, or total, okay? Meaning the same thing as complete. So don't get confused on that. If you have access to that menu and you're down in that area looking, it's the same thing as complete. For whatever reason, it's just called total down here, okay? So let's go ahead and close that one up. That's one other access point. And then the third one, let's go ahead and talk about as well, which is outside of logistics, is accounting. And if we go into financial accounting here, accounts receivable, master records, create, change, display, all the same ones, okay? But here you're not seeing a complete or a total. You're only seeing create, change, display. Why? Because this is primarily accounts receivable, and this type of access would be given to accounts receivable folks, okay? Not everybody. So they're really going to be concerned about the company code information, okay? So that's another way to access it. If you're in the billing department, accounts receivable, you might be accessing customers through this menu path, okay? So that really covers the menu paths. Next, let's go in and take a look at it from a transactional point of view, okay? So the first transaction that we want to talk about here is XD01. If you're taking notes, that's a good one to know. This is going to allow us to create a customer. We don't have to go through the menus. We'll go right there super quick, and it gives us that total or complete view where we can create company code, sales area, we've got the account group, everything, okay? Now, let's say I only wanted to create from the menu path sales area relevant information. It would be VD01, okay, instead of XD. X basically meaning complete, V representing sales in this scenario, VD01 would take us there, and you can see you're back at the same place, but no company code, okay? And you get access to the same information. Now, third way to create directly from up here, FD01, right? And if you can guess, you're guessing right, this will be our accounting one, again, where it's only the company code, no sales area information. Okay, so next let's take a look at some change transactions. Okay, so in our command box, let's go ahead and do the complete first. XD02 will be the one that you want to use. And there you can see it takes us to change, and we get the complete views, company code, sales area data. Okay, so next let's take a look at sales only change. And if you're guessing, well, you're right, it's going to be VD02 instead of XD02. And there you can see we do not have our company code. We're only going to look at the sales views. And our third one here again, now we're going to look at the accounting ones, FD02. Okay, and there you see customer and only company code. All right. Third, let's talk about accessing through display only. So you don't have access to create, you don't have access to change, possibly you have access to display. We'll go back and talk about our complete views again, XD03, right? And there you can say you can display the customer for both company code and sales area data. And just as I'm sure you're guessing, VD03 is going to give us that sales display access, okay? And FD03 is going to give us that accounting view access, where it's just the company code. Okay, so now if you're thinking back through create, change, display, one thing you'll notice in general was 1 was create, 2 was change, and 3 was display. That's pretty common across SAP, so if you're memorizing the transactions, just think about that. You know, try display, it's probably going to be a 3, change is probably going to be a 2, and create's probably going to be a 1. Okay? So the next thing I want to show you, or the last thing I want to show you really quick here, is if you want to turn on the technical names, okay? So here, to make this a little bit more informational for you, if you're learning those transaction codes and you don't want to write them down, one thing you can do here is extras, okay? Settings, display technical names. Make sure that checkbox is clicked. Go and enter there. Now let's go back into our menu path. And there you go. We're back in our menu path, and you can see now we have the menu path, plus it's showing us the transaction code. If you keep those on for a while, you'll get those memorized, and before you know it, you'll just primarily be going through the command box, as it's much quicker access for you. And we want to be about speed in our order to cash processing. Another thing you can do here is your favorites. You can take your transactions here, right? If you don't want to drill down here, but you still like the menu thing, and you don't want to type up here, you just like to click, I can take my transaction, click on it, and I'll just drag it up here and drop it in my favorites and keep it up there. Okay, so my favorites, I can create all kinds of folders and add different transactions, organize them however you want. But that's the main thing. If you want to get away from this and you only access 10, 20 different transactions or more, you may want to just store them up here in a favorite section. Okay, so that's our primary access to get there. We're going to go ahead and jump in the next section and talk about what do we do, how do I understand that pop-up once we're there at that access. Okay, thank you.